All right, here we go. Episode 6 brings us a heavy discussion about toilet etiquette.
You will never guess what got jacked from my truck. That's right, my personal truck. My wheels and my radio are still intact. Also, we talk about a new Weiland documentary that's coming and our top 5 untimely rock star deaths.
And Mother's Day is coming up this weekend, and it's cool to be a cool mom apparently in this day and age. Look at these two guys. Take a good look and listen to these voices. Do you think we had cool moms?
Nope.
Let's go. It's time. Put on play pants.
All right, Rod, I'm pretty excited about tonight, man. I look forward all week long to doing this. I love my radio show. It's a lot of fun, but you can only say, hey, that's Leonard Skinner so many times before you're like, okay. It's like I get to actually talk about some cool shit. I get to swear, which by the way, people still freaked out that we're both swearing. They're like, I can't hear you guys swearing.
Yeah, I like it. See all the dirty stuff.
So I was talking, my brother is here in New Orleans and he works in a hotel. He works in the maintenance department. So if something breaks, they call down, hey dude, can you fix this? Right. So he goes up to one of the rooms over the weekend at one of the hotels here on Poydras, and he had to fix the shitter. The back, that you got the bowl and then you got the back part, the tank, right?
Top shelf. Sure.
Top shelf. So the top shelf was busted off. Like it was busted off the shitter.
That's a good party.
And he goes, well, that's the funny thing. There wasn't a party. It was a larger dude, as my brother succinctly puts it, some big fucking fat dude.
Don't hold back, Todd.
He leaned back and was chilling, and it snapped the thing off because you got that gap between the back of your tank and the wall. So it just busted it because he was so big. So then I was like, oh, dude, that's a mess. So then I'd like, wait a minute.
Oh, water goes all over?
Yeah, it just fucks up the whole day. So then it got me to thinking, I'm like, wait, who the fuck leans back on the shitter? Who sits back? Dude, have you ever leaned back and put your back against the back? When the seat folds up, have you ever leaned back? Because I'm a elbows on the knees guy. I'm picking at my feet. I'm like an orangutan bent over playing with my toes.
My back has never touched the tank.
Have you ever
no,
just been like,
I don't
kicking back, baby? It's not a backrest, I don't think.
I don't think my back has ever touched the tank.
Okay.
Once. If anything, I'm leaning forward. I mean, if I'm going to be in there for a little while, I'm more of a forward guy, but no, it's not, what are you in, a lazy boy? You sitting there?
Putting a cushion on that fucker. And that's what I was like, wait a minute. I don't think I've ever sat backwards.
At least that's the water that leaked out. That water is fairly clean, So it's not like the poopy, the poopy stuff in the bowl. That stuff on the top that's okay. Yeah, I mean, it sucks to clean up, I'm sure. And I'm sure whatever hotel this is, I mean, they're all 200 years old. So that can't be good, but it's not that much water, huh? About a gallon and a half. I don't even know what is shitter's flush now?
I don't know. It was just funny because I he was telling the story. I go, wait a minute. And I asked him, I go, dude, have you ever sat backwards? He goes, no. So I'm like, wait a minute. I got to put this out in the world. Who the hell sits back against the shitter? Who leans it back and goes, all right, here I am. It's not a lazy boy. You're not getting a pedicure.
Do you remember when we were living in Buffalo, they had just started a new franchise, the Buffalo Bandits. It was a indoor lacrosse team, and it was a professional team, and it's so much fun. It's so awesome. I couldn't believe how great it was. It's the only time I've ever owned season tickets to a sporting team. And so Jason and I would always go to these, the Buffalo Bandits. And it was total rock and roll, man. They would play metal. They'd play Metallica on breakaways. And it was so much fun because it's really high scoring. But do you remember the commercial for it? They would say, we'll sell you the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge. Yeah, that's me on the shitter. The whole seat's there. I only need the edge.
Like I'm not on it long enough to get it warm for the next person.
Dude, I don't spend a lot of time in the crapper, like for long periods of time. I go a lot. I think I'm in there just average. I poop like a champ. But Green Day. We've had this joke forever. I got to shit during Green Day songs. So I've got, Long View is 3 minutes and 47 seconds long. So boom, I hit the tune, and then boom, I got to go run, take care of business, clean up shop, wash the hands, get back, and then get my thing ready because I'm always talking out of a song. I never play 2 songs back to back in the morning. So I'm always coming on to talk. So dude, there's like Oliver Tree is like 1 minute and 47 seconds. That's not a pooper. Okay. When you get some of these older fellas, like you get a good Chili Pepper song that's like, 397 or I'm sorry, 357, right. or you get a 4-minute song, man, that just think about the average person going into the shitter and getting things done inside of, when I'm talking, I have 4 minutes to go down, hit the song, go down the hall, do all of that, clean up, boom, come back, and then be ready to talk and not be out of breath. I'm not running. The average person must spend much more time in the pooper than us.
Yeah, radio DJs have got the greatest system going because you're taught because you're forced to. It's not like the old days when they put on Stranglehold and be like, I'm going to take the newspaper with me. It's an 8-minute song and go hang out. You're not playing 2112 and seeing 20. No, it's not like that anymore.
No, you got to go in there. You got to snap it off. So today we're recording this on Wednesday. And, I got my days pretty well planned out, and there's a Mother's Day that's looming. I know we're going to talk a little bit about Mother's Day today on the show. I am in a situation like you are where my mom doesn't live in the same city as I am. So you do have to plan ahead. You got to get cards out in time. I had everything planned out. Okay. But of course, today is the day that I needed to get the card in the mail. And there's just, what happened to the good old days with those mailboxes on every corner? It just doesn't happen.
Right.
That's not really what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk more about why I wasn't able to get my Mother's Day card in the mail today. So I get up this morning, I hop in the Tundra, and I go to work. No problems. Boom. Park the truck, go into work. Okay, great. There was no incidences on my way into work. Parking, no problem, right? So I leave the office today. I get in the Tundra. Now I got dual exhaust. My truck's a little bit louder, but not, I turn over the Tundra and I could feel it underneath me. Whoosh. I'm like, what the hell? Now I've driven a Monster Jam truck before, and I'll tell you, it hit like that. It hit hard. What just blew up? What just exploded? Okay. Now, Jason is a car guy, so he's probably laughing. He's probably already got like 10 diagnoses for what happened here. So I get out and I'm like, what the heck? So I turn off the car. I get out. I go, look, are my mufflers attached? I'm like, yeah, they're attached. Okay. So I get in the car and I turn it over. Whoa, it hits hard, but it starts. Okay. I'm going to go home. So I'm hitting the gas and it's not really going. It's not being as responsive as I like. It's loud as bombs. My mufflers are attached. So I get out, I go around, and before I get to the street, I'm like, I got it. What's going on here, man? It's just not as responsive as I'd like. And I look underneath, and where the engine is, all of my muffler system is still here, but there's about 2 feet missing. There's 2 feet underneath my truck missing. Somebody stole my fucking catalytic converter. The radio station is in the Galleria. Okay. In Houston, it's very bougie. Okay. It's nice. These are all the office buildings, everything, the Galleria Mall. It's a nice area. Somebody stole my catalytic converter. Now, I didn't know that at the time. I just knew that there was a segment missing underneath my truck.
That is crazy.
So I'm driving home, and you know this because, the way that your engine is set up, you need a little bit of a backflow. The muffler does provide a little bit of a, it helps with, I don't know the words because I'm half a man here, but there's too much air, it's not getting the backflow that it needs. So that's why I'm not. Right. The pressure. So it's not, the truck isn't really going. So I just muffler near me, boom. And I want to talk to the guy, and Jose gets on the phone and he's like, okay, what's the problem? I go, dude, do I need, I think I need a muffler. Now I still don't know about the catalytic converter. I just see a space missing.
Right. Something's missing.
So I say, I'm like, dude, muffler, problem, loud. I'm still able to drive. And he goes, sir, somebody stole your catalytic converter. I don't know if I'm saying it right.
Yeah. Catalytic converter.
Catalytic converter. He knew exactly what I was talking about. As soon as I said, I'm driving my car, it's loud as bombs, but it appears that my muffler is still attached. Sir, someone stole your catalytic converter. I said, what? He goes, yeah, it's a big problem right now. He says they're coming in here, 2 and 3 a day. At your shop, 2 and 3 a day are being stolen. I go, can I drive? He said, yeah, but don't go real far. I said, should I come see you? And he said, do you have insurance? I said, yeah. He said, well, this is really expensive. If you deal with a dealership and he wanted the business. He sees it every day. He said, if you've got something with the dealership, maybe you should go and check that out. I made it to the dealership. I got to call insurance. They don't even know about this, but I came home. I went online in 20 minutes. I knew everything you need to know about stealing a catalytic converter, right? So there are precious metals inside there and they're mining them. So there is rhodium, small amounts. There's rhodium, there's platinum, there's palladium in there. And I saw videos. I mean, it took me 20 minutes to realize this is an epidemic in this country right now. It started last year and it's going on this year. You get underneath the car with a Sawzall and it can be a DeWalt. So, you got the wireless, cordless. You go underneath there, you saw right through and it's 2 bolts. Boom. You're under the car for a minute and a half. And they have trunkfuls of them driving around, trunkfuls. And there's some sort of a black market because I mean, you and I, what are we going to do with a catalytic converter, for a Tundra specific?
I'm going to sell it to you right now.
There's a guy out there that, he's the guy and he has the other guy that has the guy. So they're making money. It's a massive problem in this country right now. They said it started with the pandemic. Last year, it increased. This year, it's tenfold. I'm at the dealership and I'm telling them, and a guy hears me, but the guy that's behind me, what do you think he's in there for?
Oh,
his fucking catalytic converter was robbed today. I asked the dealership, how many do you see? He said at least once a day, 2, sometimes 3. Every day at this one dealership. There are 50 car dealerships. It's not that now the Toyota Tundra, my truck's a little bit higher and apparently you just roll right underneath it. I mean, they don't got to jack the car up or anything. The lower your car is, the better you are. They sell a cage now that goes underneath your truck and it protects the catalytic converter. Now, of course, they can still go under if they want it. They're going to get it.
You can cut through that.
What? So that's my day. That's all day. I'm doing that today.
What a waste
of
time.
Mom's not getting her card on time. Mother's Day card is not getting there to North Tonawanda, New York on Saturday because some jackwagon stole my catalytic converter.
Dude,
out of the damn parking garage, bro.
There's got to be cameras at the parking garage, right?
So, yeah, I called the office, my office guy. He's calling Marcel. Marcel's the building guy. He's hip. They're going to look. Nothing's going to happen. They can't. This is I have a cop friend here, and last year and the year before, the big thing was tailgates. People were stealing there was a huge market for tailgates. Now mine locks with the power locks. They used to not be attached to the power lock system. And the tailgate, I don't even want to share this information, but like older trucks that are maybe 6 years old, you pull that tailgate down, you go bloop, bloop, boom. You're out of there with a $900 tailgate.
Dude, your catalytic converter is like $3,800. That's the value of a catalytic converter for a Toyota Tundra.
Okay, so the whole thing said and done for car guy and the dealership to do it, it's about $6,000.
Yeah, you got to reinstall it.
So you're like, well, Rod, cool story, man. Awesome. So the insurance says, do you need a rental car? I'm like, nah, you know what? I'll Uber, you know? And then I got a Jeep that kind of sits here. I never use it, but I'm like, okay, I'll ride dirty on the Jeep. It hasn't been on the road in years, but I'll get through that for a couple of days. So I hang up with insurance. I don't need a rental. Hey, I can't get one for about a month and a half. I said, excuse me?
Holy shit.
She said, I can't get your part. It's a month and a half. I want you to really understand what a problem this is, Jason.
Oh my!
A month and a half, they can't get me the part that was stolen from me because so many are being stolen.
This is like Breaking Bad, only with car parts. Because Breaking Bad, you go to make the meth, you got to go steal all the medicines out of pharmacies, and you just take that little tiny bit out of it, and you make your meth. At least that's what I've been told by friends of mine. The catalytic converter, like the parts that you're getting such small amounts of these different metals.
The rhodium is the number one thing. Apparently, like it's $24,000 an ounce or something. It's stupid. Dude. And there's just there's trace amounts of it in there. And I don't know why. I don't care to know why, but there's precious metals in there and they're farming it. And they're just getting so many of them, dude, that it's a minute and a half of their time. They see, again, my truck being up high, they roll right underneath that sucker. Boom. They got it down. So call back. I'm going to need that rental car. What's my insurance cover? I'm driving around a rental for a month and a half.
I hope it's low to the ground.
Until my part comes in. Yeah. Is that wild? I mean, you didn't know that this was a crime, did you?
I didn't know. Like you steal like hubcaps. If you know what I mean? You steal shit out of a car. You can steal, people will steal transmissions. You know, I thought, wow, that's insane. First, you know what? I was thinking when you said you turned the key and there was this huge loud noise.
Okay, what did you think it was?
I thought it was going to be like a De Niro getting in the Cadillac near the end of Casino, and
it felt like my car. It felt like my car was going to explode. I'm telling you, it rumbled, dude. Like it when you hit those, and you've been to Monster Jam before. Wow. When they hit that Monster Jam truck, boom! That's how hard my truck was hitting. Yeah, because it was probably blasting fire underneath it. I don't know what was going on under there.
Yeah, it's straight off the engine. So like when you watch drag races and you see those long cars they call rails, it's literally the pipes are just coming straight off the manifold and it's straight pipes and it's just bombs coming out of them. It's loud as shit. Yeah, dude, a month and a half, you gotta wait. And then what do? You get a bike lock for your truck underneath and shit or what?
So they will make something. It's $350. I'm sure they're going to ding me a couple $100 to put it on. I don't care. I'll pay. But it is like a skid plate that will go over your catalytic converter and it locks. So it's got to be more than just bolted on there because they're just going to go and then be off on their way again. So there is some sort of a deal that they make, an anti-catalytic converter theft kit that I will be purchasing that my insurance won't cover. I said, I don't care, man. I don't want to go through this again.
Dude,
what a mess.
You're going to have to buy a Ferrari. It's low to the ground. That's the only solution I can think of. Or you know what? A pre-1974 car. They didn't have them pre-1974. That's what they came in. It's a pollution thing, right? I believe it's a pollution thing. But pre-74, you're good to go, brother. You're good to go.
I know that's perfect. 1974 is that's probably too new for you.
A little bit.
All right. Well, listen, guys, we got other things that we got to talk about today on the show, but that was kind of what I did most of my day.
Okay. Two things. First of all, this is a long way to go. This is a long drawn out story to have an excuse on video and on audio when your mom doesn't get her card. This is a long way to go for an excuse that you forgot to mail your damn mom a Mother's Day card. First of all, second of all, van time, bro. You can go get a van. Now you can get a pre-74 van. That's the solution. We've been talking about vans for weeks. I can't even tell you how many nights I spend on eBay looking at old vans now. I'm obsessed with old vans now.
No, you're obsessed. You're obsessed with lemons and my dick. Okay. Every time I go on social media, there's something new on our Playpants Pod Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. There's another picture of me and a lemon. You are obsessed, my friend, with me taking a lemon to the seeds. I'll say it. You.
It's not me. It's our producer, Jake Fisher, our guy. He does all the editing for this. He's got all the social media taken care of. Jake Fisher, he's a dick, but
he's obsessed.
Dude, the lemon story with last week was pretty funny. I mean, I've had people say, "Wow, can't wait for BuzzFest," and I'm like, "Oh shit,
no way,
you gotta wear a cup."
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Listen, coming up, I want to talk a little bit about, there's another documentary coming up, but it's going to kind of morph into a top 5 list. So I shot this over to you and I gave you your little assignment, but I just wanted to let you guys know.
I hate assignments.
This Scott Weiland, this autopsy thing is going to be coming up. I want to talk about it in about 30 seconds. Yeah,
Lucky's Pub West, I-10 and Barker Cypress, man. The Rockets games, Astros baseball. I think they just played the Yankees the other night, and they got booed out of the place, dude. It was, but then they win.
Brutal. No,
they didn't win. Okay, well,
not at the time of this recording. No.
Okay, gotcha. All right, yeah, fine, fair enough. Either way, watch Astros baseball over at Lucky's Pub West, I-10, Barker Cypress, man. 40 TVs. Yeah, it doesn't matter who you're talking to. You're going to be able to see the game in the place. Amazing food. They got the best pizza on the best side, killer wings, burgers, and of course, the Philly cheese steak egg rolls. Dude, every week I get a comment from somebody, "Hey, quit picking on the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls." I want to go on record. I've never picked on them once. I just said they got to be incredible because everyone keeps talking about them. They're that good. And I boiled some crawfish over the weekend. And I tell you what, I'd have much rather been at Lucky's Pub because they're doing the crawfish on the weekends. Check their Facebook page for details. There's always an ice cold beer at a fair price. I can almost taste it right now, actually. Lucky's Pub West, I-10 at Barker Cypress.
Pretty big week for me getting news of a new documentary. That's the part that's kind of like the age that I'm at. I get excited about a new documentary coming or a new story. They're going to be focusing in on Scott Weiland. And I know you're a big fan. And of course, I'm a huge fan of Scott Weiland and his untimely death in 2015. I guess as I'm reading the press release for this show that's coming up about him, I forgot he was 48. I thought he was a little younger than that. I knew he wasn't anywhere. Like I knew it wasn't anything like a 27 club, but he was 48. Scott Weiland, his death will be examined on Reels. It's an autopsy. It's the last hours of Scott Weiland. Now, I think this might be a show that they do this last like a 48 hours type of thing. It might be a show that looks at the last hours of people's lives because I think I caught a Sid Vicious one. Mm-hmm. And they're okay. They're okay. Scott Weiland is worthy of the treatment, I think. I think you and we went to go see STP. I caught him a couple of times in New Orleans, but the one show that I remember specifically, one was State Palace Theater, which was amazing. But one that I know that I think you and I were at was them and Cheap Trick. And that's when they were kind of busting down and doing that acoustic set because they did that Zeppelin song. And that was actually a single for them.
Right.
But didn't we go backstage after the show? It was kind of just, I mean, listen, we didn't hang out with the band, but it was kind of a serving line.
Yeah.
Because I think you've got a poster signed and I got a poster signed. I'm sure it's in there.
97. I'm staring at it right now. Yeah. Stone Temple Pilots, Cheap Trick. It was 1997, dude. And it was at the UNO Lakefront Arena here in New Orleans.
UNO Lakefront Arena. And our boss had about 5 or 6 posters and he just passed them out. And I looked at yours and I looked at mine. Mine's cool. Not as cool as the one that Jason has. But we did meet him. And Weiland was there doing the meet and greet back then.
Slumped
he signed
in a chair, and he looked all like shit. He was just leaning back, and he looked tired as hell. Of course, he just did 2 hours of just crushing it on stage. So,
So, they're going to talk about his life and that devastating heroin addiction. I interviewed his wife before, and the one story that really resonated with me was she's talking because she wrote a book, and they went to a party. And it was Leonardo DiCaprio's house. And it was in the middle of summer. It's hot outside. And both of them are there with long sleeve shirts on. Well, why do you think that was?
You're full of tracks, dude, up and down your arms.
Yeah. Their arms were a mess at Leo's house, dude. So that's the kind of guy. I mean, Weiland was royalty. He was up there, man. I mean, he was one of the all-time great frontmen. And he would have gone down as, like how we talk about Steven Tyler, or or how we talk about Axl Rose. I mean, he was right up there with them. So he had this awful addiction, and this story is going to talk about, I didn't know that his parents had cancer. So he was dealing with that. He was manic depressive. I mean, just stuff is piling up on top of one and another and another. His death was covered a little bit in Duff McKagan's book, which is okay. It's not great, but Duff's got daughters, and I felt like he edited a lot of stuff about back in the day with Guns N' Roses. It still was a pretty good book, but he really, really, really tried to help Scott Weiland, because Duff's really super clean and he's super karate guy. And he was trying to get Weiland. Weiland was staying with him, and he's trying to get him to go to the dojo and get cleaned up. Scott Weiland didn't want to be helped. He just didn't want to be helped. So I thought, we've been doing these top 5 lists, and I thought, you know what? You can kind of approach it any way you want. I threw the number 40 years old out there. So I kind of took Weiland out of the contention. And it also took, for me, Elvis off of the table. Rock stars that died too soon. And there's no real rules to follow. But I was thinking, okay, I mean, I know you wanted, I did it for you because I know you want Eddie Van Halen to live to be 100 years old. Okay. He had a pretty good, rich life. Gone too soon? Of course. Sure. Of course. But we have this big body of work. So I kind of threw a 40-year-old thing out at you. Rock stars gone too soon. And I said, give me a top 5. And I just wanted to see how you would approach it.
Dude, this was a rabbit hole from hell. I spent this afternoon, I spent like an hour. I said, okay, this top 5 list, every week it's a pain in the ass, but I love it because it makes you really think about these different things that we do our top 5 lists on. And I found that we've come at it from a different angle every time, which I think is great. I had to literally go take a walk after I did my research, dude. I was like freaking out. Okay. Because I went down this rabbit hole. It's like, I want to make sure that I do a little bit of research so I know what the hell I'm talking about. And then I just went down the rabbit hole where I found these lists of all the rock stars who was anyone of any sort of stature over the last 100 years. And I just kept scrolling down, and it would say their name, the band they were in, the age they died, and what they died from. I didn't go through and do like a real poll, but man, I tell you what, drugs and suicide and all the horrible life choices really add up to a lot of death in rock and roll, man. It's unbelievable. Yeah. It was depressing as shit. So thanks.
It really is. It really is. And again, I obviously you've already made your list. I took this and I took an approach who left a lot on the table.
Right.
I'll give you a, for instance, like Cliff Burton. Okay. Tragic.
Yeah.
He was the most talented. He was the most talented guy in the band. All right. He was a trained bass player, man. He was a trained musician. Okay. And as tragic as it was, and I love Cliff, but Metallica went on. Metallica went on. I looked at it from that point when I said the top 5, like gone too soon. And I don't want, like a guy like Keith Moon, who was this crazy innovative drummer and which I'm waiting for that movie to come out. I don't know why they've been teasing me forever about this Keith Moon movie, but the Who went on,
right?
And that's what I was kind of going for when I came up with my list. Like, what just stopped when they stopped? That's how I looked at it.
Yeah. And the more I started thinking about it, I was like, well, for the people, the rock stars that sort of did it to themselves between drugs and suicide, it's like, okay, you kind of did it to yourself, but I still included them in. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, well, geez, you kind of did it to yourself. If it was a plane crash or a car wreck or whatever that literally was a shock, then I'm like, okay, you put a little more weight on that, but if you did it to yourself, it's like, okay, but I think it's going to be an interesting top 5 for both of us. I can't wait to hear this because I left a lot on the table. There's a lot that you could go, oh, what about this guy? What about this guy? What about this guy? So I really, you want me to go first, right?
I would love for you to go first.
All right, sure.
So I can
put all the
tear it
heat on me.
apart.
Yeah, that way you can rip my shit up. Honorable mention, because it's never going to be just 5. Honorable mention. I was hoping that Rob Pilatus. Rob Pilatus. You know who that is? I think he was Vanilli of Milli Vanilli. I was really hoping for the big comeback album when they would actually sing. Okay, moving on. This one's going to be a surprise. I wanted Milli Vanilli. I felt bad.
All those names that I already mentioned. I mentioned Cliff Burton, and you're going to throw in Milli Vanilli.
Yeah, I did.
Jackass.
Okay, this one's going to blow your mind because you're going to be like, wait, why? What? Who?
This is your number 5.
Number 5, Duane Allman. Duane Allman out. This is a wild thing to throw out there, but I'm not even a huge Allman Brothers fan. This dude was 24 years old when he died. Okay, Duane Allman played guitar. He was the brains behind the band in the early days. Greg Allman, who became the leader and was the singer and the organ player, he was off in California doing shit. And Duane put the band together, got everybody together, was rehearsing and said, we need a damn singer. Greg's the only guy that can do it. So that's kind of the backstory on the Allman Brothers. Okay, what you don't realize is that he was 24 years old and he had 2 big albums by the Allman Brothers. He actually was a session guitarist for quite a few years, and that's why he formed the Allman Brothers, because he was sick of doing the session work. Yeah, he worked with a bunch of different people. He even worked with Aretha Franklin and a bunch of other people. He meets Eric Clapton. They literally have a guitar love affair between the two of them, right? They literally can talk with their guitars. They don't even have to even explain anything to each other. And he ended up doing a lot of work on the Derek and the Dominoes album, Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs. Of course, the song Layla, that's not Eric Clapton playing the solo. That's Duane freaking Allman.
I didn't know that.
His slide guitar sound, he took an old pill bottle and he did that back in like 68, 69. And he came up with this great slide sound that went on to be, as the more he perfected it in the Allman Brothers, that became the distinctive sound that evolved into the musical voice of what would become to known as the Southern rock sound. Duane Allman was 24. Imagine the possibilities of this guy. And so many guitar players talk about his sound, his tone, what he could do in the studio, what could have been. And again, I don't even like the Allman Brothers that much, but I think of the potential.
I know that musicians talk about him in the terms that you just did. I'm the same. I'm not a big Allman Brothers guy. But I've heard musicians drop his name and talk about like how just unbelievably talented he was. And I think that your criteria for choosing him is exactly like how I kind of set this up. Like, man, what could have been if he accomplished that at that young of an age? You know, what could have happened? All right, you're off to a good start.
Motorcycle wreck, and that's that. You know, he wasn't heading out that way. That wasn't his doing, really. Obviously,
his bro went on to bang Cher.
Yeah, for a couple. Yeah, they had a kid, I think, too, right?
I think so.
Jimi Hendrix at number 4.
At number 4,
Jimi Hendrix. Obviously, a great guitar player, innovative, all that stuff. What people don't realize is, sure, he was an innovative guitar player, but think about the sounds he got in the time frame, in the time period he got them. Okay, it's 67, 68, 69, 70, right? The sound of his guitar was pretty different than a lot of others at that time. Now we're used to that fuzz and all the distortion and shit. He experimented with the sound, with his amps, and he was a trickster in the studio. You know, he created, Electric Lady Studios up in New York, and he was producing all kinds of shit out of there. And he was actually, before his death, dude, this is wild. He was hanging out with Miles Davis. Yeah, Miles Davis, the jazz guy, right? They were kind of going back and forth and talking and noodling around about putting together an album. Miles Davis, one of the greats, the greatest in jazz, right? And then you've got Jimi Hendrix. Can you imagine the fusion project between those? Okay, check this out. I'm gonna blow the headphones right off your skull. They were working together. Miles Davis and Jimi Hendrix were working together in 1970. They sent a telegram to Paul McCartney.
Oh, geez.
And said, dude, because think about it. Jimi Hendrix, Miles Davis, they're going to be all over the road, jamming and all this crazy shit. Paul McCartney, you pull him in, he's going to put that good lyrics. He's going to write some good songs. Can you imagine what that could have sounded like? The telegram reached Paul McCartney, right? Well, it didn't reach him. He was on vacation. The manager got it, sent another telegram back to Jimi Hendrix's people and said, look, Paul's on vacation out in the middle of nowhere for a couple of weeks. So he's not even going to entertain this idea. Well, it never ended up happening because a few months later, Jimi Hendrix was dead. Can you imagine Paul McCartney, Miles Davis, and Jimi Hendrix? Whoa. The Telegram is actually in a Hard Rock Cafe over in Czechoslovakia somewhere.
See, that's why I save shit. You guys call me a hoarder. I'm so glad that Telegram survived. Somebody saved it.
Yeah. And this one, I'm probably get shit for this one, but I'll explain why. Jim Morrison, The Doors. Okay. Now I get it. They had a lot of albums out and he was just a train wreck at the end. But when he moved to Paris, he had shaved that shitty beard off. He was still drinking and doing drugs, of course. He had lost a bunch of weight. He was getting in shape a little bit. He was in Paris to try and get healthy and to wait out the appeal for the big thing in Miami where he got arrested for allegedly whipping his junk out on stage in Miami in 1969. Yeah. He was awaiting appeal. So he's like, well, I'm going to sit in jail. So I'm going to go over to Paris and chill out. So he did. And he was doing a lot of writing and they found all these journals that he'd written a bunch of shit in it. Right.
But did he want to continue the lifestyle? Did he want to, I know that he was writing and he was always a writer first.
Right.
Do you think, because this also played into my making of my list though. And believe me, I toyed with Jim Morrison. He was right there. He's not in my top 5, but I'm questioning, did he want to continue in your mind? Do you think that I don't think he would have ever stopped writing poetry. I don't think he would have ever stopped writing. Maybe he would have gone back he was a film student. I know that. Do you think he would have kept going would he have wanted to continue as a rock star? Is that what he was training for? Was he getting in shape for that?
I don't think so. I think you got to look at it this way. Okay. They did 6 albums in 5 years. Okay. The Doors, 6 albums in 5 years. Imagine
that's what bands did back then though,
but the Doors were a meteor flying through the sky at 1,000,000 miles an hour, plus all the booze, plus all the touring, plus all the shit. He burnt hard and fast. Plus he just was a kamikaze. He was insane with the booze and stuff. So he had all kinds of other issues going on too. But I think and again, we're dealing in a lot of what ifs here. He cleaned up a little bit, he probably would have sat down, done some books, maybe try to do a movie or two. And then once you realize, hey, I don't make no damn money at this, you're looking at like mid 75, 76. He's out of money. The Doors get back together. He's older, he's wiser, and they go into the sunset. It would have been interesting to see, had he got off all this shit, or at least mostly, cleaned up his act a little bit, what the potential would have been. Because he was 27 years old. You don't know shit when you're 27.
No, you don't.
Think about the future of that. So that's why I threw him in there. At number 2, this one seems too damn obvious, but Kurt Cobain. Now, again, he did it to himself, but he was actually, think about, and again, Nirvana, only a couple albums. They really didn't put out that many albums. He burnt hard and fast, but before he blew his brains out, he was demoing songs shortly before his death for a solo album. And what he wanted to do was have other artists come in and play with him. It never happened because he killed himself.
Right.
And Dave Grohl just said in February, I dug up an interview. He said, yeah, if Kurt was alive, Nirvana would still be there. They would still get together and probably be making music in some form. So it would have been interesting to see how Kurt Cobain, who hated the limelight, hated being that spokesperson of Gen X and all that stuff, had he lived, what would have happened? Would he have cleaned up? Would he, and then also, would Nirvana have such the legendary status because he was still alive?
So for some of the things that you said, Kurt Cobain is not in my top 5. I don't think he was interested at all in the direction that Nirvana was going in. Whatever he was going to put out and experimental, and he wanted to do something different. He hated the rock style life. He was not going to do anything. This is in my opinion. He was not going to ever put out anything that remotely sounded like a hit song.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
He would have ambushed it on purpose. I mean, I get it. He was a great songwriter. And Dave, I've seen the stuff that Dave says about him. I kept him off of my list because of the criteria that I think that's what we got out of Kurt. I really do. I think that was it. Had he lived, and I wish he did, I don't think that anything would replicate moving forward what he had already done. I don't think he was interested at all in any of that.
And that's why I bring up, and that's why I bring up the whole, like, had he lived, would Nirvana be as legendary as they are? Because, the Nirvana sound, you keep doing that forever. Well, then you've watered it down. You just spent the next 10 albums just watering it down and watering it down and watering it down. It loses its impact. It loses its punch.
He would have divorced Courtney, and he would have never played in Nirvana ever again, in my opinion.
Either way, it would have been interesting to see,
All right. Well, that's your number 2. What's your number 1?
John Lennon. He was 40 when he was killed. John Lennon. I don't even have to explain that. There's nothing else to say. John Lennon. There's nothing else to say. It was John Lennon. He was going to continue to make great music. I mean, the Double Fantasy album that came out with Imagine and all that, and Watching the Wheels and stuff, cut it out.
I mean, you're not toast at 40, but you write hit songs when you're in your 20s. And if you're really good, you write them in your 30s. But Bono struggles with it.
Sure.
Elton John struggled with it. Paul McCartney struggled with it. You hit 40. And tragic. I gotta make sure that when I say these things, these awful things that I'm saying, tragic.
Right.
Okay. Was he going to do anything moving forward that could even be to get a whiff of what he had already done?
Dude, Imagine came out in what, 1980 after he died?
Before that. 80 was Double Fantasy, Watching the Wheels Go Round, and I'm just a jealous guy. Maybe that was before that too. I forgot the songs that are on Double Fantasy, but again, it's a really nice album. It is. It's I don't think that he was.
Yeah, I got it screwed up. Imagine is from 1971. Yeah, I screwed that up.
71. Okay, yeah.
I thought I had that. I had that wrong.
So that's why I kept John Lennon off of my list. Tragic, awful, for the same reason why Bon Scott's not on my list. I love Bon Scott. I love the early AC/DC stuff. We wouldn't have Back in Black. I didn't want Bon Scott to die.
No.
But we got Back in Black. It was one of the greatest rock albums of all time that would not have happened. AC/DC went on. Would they have been as good? I'm putting you on the spot. I'm putting you on the spot right now. With the next Bon Scott Lives, they don't write Back in Black. Now, there's a couple of songs that make it on the album, but they don't write Back in Black. And they don't probably have 3 or 4 other songs on there. Are they as good?
Back in Black wouldn't have happened. You're right. What happens is you've got a different guy, brings new energy to the band. Also, you just lost your mate that you've been with for quite a few years. You lost a brother.
You're playing angry. You're playing pissed off. You're putting out a tribute to your mate. You get one of the greatest rock albums of all time.
You're hungry. You're hungry in a lot of different ways.
I love Bon Scott. Not on my list.
No.
Again, now this is all fueled by Scott Weiland passing away. There's a documentary coming up. So pretty good list though. Pretty good list.
There's so many that I wanted to put on here. I want to let's go through yours and then let's take a break and then we can kind of go through the didn't make it.
In at number 5, Amy Winehouse.
Really?
I really do think that she could be cool rock Adele. Adele is massive. I think Amy Winehouse was just getting ready to unbelievably break. So young, dying 27, 28. Is she 27 club?
27. Yeah, she's 27.
She's 27 club. I really, really do think that she was so unbelievably talented. That last album is so great. And then I went back and started listening to the other stuff and like, why didn't I know this? Why wasn't I on this? And maybe that album was fueled by the drugs and everything and all the stuff that was going on in her life. But I think Amy Winehouse would be Adele huge right now. And Adele's huge. I think she'd be that big.
She had such a great, Amy Winehouse's voice is just like, it sounds like it's full of whiskey, which it was. And it's just had so much power. And there's just the way she sang was just so unbelievable.
Impact I was looking for when this person died, boom, like, okay, it's lights out. I know that Ozzy went on, but I do think that if Randy Rhoads was alive, it was him and Eddie Van Halen just neck and neck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They talked about, Eddie. And I think we don't have to, everyone listening knows that Eddie was this virtuoso. I think what Randy Rhoads was doing and the way that these guys brought different things to the approach of the guitar, Randy Rhoads, we would look at him, and I know plenty of musicians do, for the short period of time that he was out there. Randy Rhoads, we would be talking about him every single day like we talk about Van Halen. And I don't know what he would have done. I don't know if he would have bounced around because I don't think he would have just stayed with Ozzy, know? I think he would have bounced around and would have been this guy. I think Randy Rhoads would be on every Mount Rushmore of the guitar. Some people probably do have him on there. I just don't think he was around long enough. But I think Randy Rhoads was lights out, that he was just as good as Eddie Van Halen. And when he brought his approach to the guitar, his approach was like that. But then who knows, they say they say George Lynch. They say George Lynch too. I mean, we're not sitting here talking about George Lynch, one of the all-time great guitar players, but they say George was in that pack of being like this innovative, amazing guitar player back in the day. They were all kind of neck and neck, but Randy was different. And everyone said that Randy was special. Like he really was. Apparently the nicest dude on the planet too, but he was special. And I think that he would have gone on to do great things. So that's one of those tragedies.
You got to be able to write a song. See, Jimi Hendrix could write a good song. Eddie Van Halen could write a good song. Randy Rhoads could write a good song. He wrote a lot of those songs for Ozzy and Quiet Riot, because Randy was in Quiet Riot.
Yep.
George Lynch, I don't know if he can write a song. That's you can be a virtuoso, but if you can't put together a song, you're dead in the water. 25. Randy Rhoads is 25. Damn.
Randy Rhoads in at number 4. Number 3. This is a wild one. This is a wild card.
It's good.
Buddy Holly.
I looked at that. I looked at it for a while.
So, not my favorite guy, but he had a sound. And I really think that Buddy Holly could be looked at like an Elvis type character. Didn't have that charisma because he was geeky guy with the glasses. And I think he would have kept that, maybe he doesn't get above a Roy Orbison level, but I think he goes somewhere past Roy Orbison. I don't think anybody gets to Elvis. I didn't put Elvis on my list, but I do think that Buddy Holly is more of a guy that's just under the tier of an Elvis. Doesn't have that performance thing, but I think that kid could write songs, man. And I think we'll never know what he could have done. Just so young,
22. He was 22. It was 1959. So think about it. When you listen to, and I know there's people going, hey, listen to these old guys talking about Buddy Holly. But you got to look at it from the song aspect. Okay, he wrote good songs. Was the technology there? No. The stuff is just thin and hollow and sounds like shit, right? Compared to today. Think about what he could have done at 32. It would have been 1969. He'd have been 32 in 1969. Yeah. Can you imagine him with all that shit going on? Holy.
Who knows? Who knows?
That's a shame. You're right. That's a good one. I like that pick. They say
that just what he did in the short period of time, they said that the way that his songs were structured, he was doing things different, man. And it was him. It was him with the chord progressions and the way that he was writing. It was so advanced for somebody. If he died at 22, the last stuff he wrote that was recorded was probably 21 because he was out touring it. And they just said that it was just insane what he was able to do. And it was just this fresh sound. I think he would have gone on forever. I think he'd still be recording right now. So Buddy Holly in at 3. Number two, I didn't look up how old he was, but I think I got it. John Bonham. What else are you going to do?
Yeah, they don't 30 something.
They do not want to put out one song even. They don't want to even do one show, which I know they did a couple one-offs. they don't want to continue Led Zeppelin. They lost their drummer. That just goes to show you, it wasn't like they were, I mean, yeah, of course they were pals. Nobody could do what he did behind the drum set.
The sound too.
He was just one of the all-time great rock drummers. Hands down. Is he the best? Man, you go around, you chase your ass on that all day. John Bonham. There's no other band out there besides Rush, which he's not. Neil Peart's not the original drummer, but still. I still think Rush might do something. I really do. They lost their drummer. If there is one guy in the band, usually that, okay, things didn't work out with him, we'll just put another dude back there. As long as we got the good looking front man, we got the cool guitar player, they got the whole thing going on. Okay, the bass player wants to come. We can still keep this going. They didn't want to do one more note without their drummer. John Bonham dying hits my criteria. Boom. Curtains for Led Zeppelin.
32 years old.
One of the biggest, and I'm sure there's a ton of people out there listening right now that's for them the greatest, rock, hard rock. I have a hard time calling them metal. No, it's amazing that they didn't carry on. Now, what did they do? They did Live Aid. Phil Collins back there on the drums.
The same.
The kids played. I know the O2 Arena shows, but just 1, 2, 3. What did they do? 5 shows since he died? That was it. They're the biggest freaking rock band in the world. Drummer dies. We're not doing it. That's it. We're done. They all walked away.
But we always talk about chemistry. We've talked about chemistry in bands and how it's important. It's the meshing of it all. And you look at Led Zeppelin, man, it was 4 dudes, really 3 dudes making all the noise with Robert Plant singing. And they made a lot of noise. And they looked at, it's the chemistry between that unit, just like in any other band. It's that you can't quantify it. It's the magic of being in a band. They lost part of it.
Yeah. And they didn't feel like they can go on without it. Number 1, I mean, I don't have to say anything else that you didn't already say. I really feel that Jimi Hendrix is just the biggest, the brightest star that got dimmed too soon, because who knows what he was going to do. If he set the standard for the short period of time that he recorded and played live and did what he did in his short period of time, it's Beatle-esque. He is the Beatles of the guitar in such a short period of time. He set the watermark and just checked out. There's no way he wasn't going to continue to innovate. And who knows where the guitar would be right now? And who knows what anything would be if Jimi Hendrix had continued. I think it's the biggest detrimental rock death because of what could have been. That's why I look at like Kurt Cobain, who's going to be on every list. I don't think he wanted to do it. I don't think he wanted to do it anymore. Not that way. I don't know that much about Jim. I don't know that much about Jim Morrison. So I was always on the assumption that he kind of checked out too, similar to what I think, Kurt would have painted and he would have done, artsy fartsy things. But that's how I feel about Jim too. I never in my mind that I think that Jim Morrison was going to, get in shape and go back out and tour with the Doors.
Jimi Hendrix, think about it's 1970 when he dies, right? So think about down the road. Look at what Bowie did. Okay, can you imagine Jimi Hendrix playing guitar with Bowie if they sat down together, in the late 70s?
They would have.
How amazing would that? That's just innovative forces coming together, or any of these people that we've talked about on this list, on our top 5 list, any of them collaborating with some of these later artists, unbelievable. The potential.
If Jimi Hendrix lived 5 more years, there might be 5 Tom Morellos, not 1,
Right. And think about
Tom Morello says that, he saw a guy, that had that skin color. He can rock. Wait a minute. What's going on here? We would have 10 Tom Morellos if Jimi Hendrix had lived 10 more years. I really do. I really, really, really do think that. I think it's the most impactful just because just cut down to be the greatest guitar player and check out at 27.
brutal. It's brutal. And and we're talking about this, like, Amy Winehouse, Jim Morrison, Kurt, all these guys. It's like, you got to, because when you start talking about Amy Winehouse, that's why I couldn't get past the fact that she just didn't do shit for like the last 3 years of her life. She just sat around her apartment, but it's because of the drugs and the alcohol.
Yes.
Like I wasn't thinking right with her. Somehow I gave Jim Morrison a pass because he was doing the same dumb shit she did, but I couldn't get past it with her. And it's like, you're putting the monster back in the bottle, I guess, or something like that. Let's take a quick break. I want to come back with just a second with this and talk about some others we left off our list, because I got a long list of people that you're gonna be like, oh shit, I should have put that guy on my list.
So I got to tell you, from firsthand experience, the next time you head over to New Orleans, be sure and spend some time in the French Quarter, party your ass off, but take the time, and it's cheap. Take the time and get a tour. Pirates of the Quarter, piratesofthequarter.com, or at Pirates of the Quarter on all the social media. 5-star rated walking tour, and pirates will tell you stories of real pirates and what they did on the ground that you stand on. Okay. I mean, there's parts of the tour that when I was on, like, okay, where you're standing right here. This is what went down here. It's real stories, and it's not to shit on other tours, but this really is historical, but it's so interesting. You're going to love it. It's so entertaining. You can still keep the party rolling. The pirates keep it light, tight, and bright. All the sword fights, all the cannons, all the rum. It's the most unique walking tour in all of the French Quarter. It's fun. But again, you will, whether you want to or not, you'll walk away and you'll be talking about something. If you spend days afterwards, you're going to remember that's where we were. And then you're going to want to tell your friends, guess what happened here? Guess who got an eyeball gouged out right here? You're going to tell your friends that. So discover pirate history of New Orleans, piratesofthequarter.com. Links on the Play Pants podcast page, on our YouTube page. And it really is a great tour. And it seems like the country is, not slowly opening up, like super floodgate opening up. So how are the streets looking? We had some friends that were in New Orleans, some friends of ours that were in New Orleans last weekend. And I know it was supposed to be Jazz Fest, but you were down there. What does it look like?
It's good, man. I mean, it's clean. There's people there. Bourbon Street's loaded.
It better be clean. It better be the cleanest thing ever.
You want to rock out with your cock out on Bourbon Street, you can do half of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can have some fun on Bourbon Street. I mean, it's the Quarter's rolling. Now, what's interesting is if you haven't been here, Houston's just a short hop over here. If you haven't been here since pre-COVID, you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to go to this store. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to go to this restaurant. Oh, no, I'm not. Because a lot of shit closed, man. And
yeah,
that's sad. But you can still party balls in the Quarter. That is not a damn problem. Ron, I want to go back to the list here, because I think that the 5 you came up with, the 5 I came up with, great. Totally great. But we left a lot on the table, like, Chester Bennington. From Linkin Park. I would have loved to see Linkin Park keep going, because they were always collaborating with other artists. I think that had a lot of life left in it. Unfortunately, it doesn't. Dude, I'm surprised we both left this one off our list.
I'm going to be mad, aren't I?
Stevie Ray Vaughan. I don't know how much more he was going to be inventive. He kind of had that same sound in every song, but Stevie Ray Vaughan, it'd be neat to see him still playing with people today.
It would be super awesome. Everyone on the list, it'd be awesome if they didn't die.
Obviously,
Stevie Ray Vaughan was awesome, innovative. For me, I put him up there with Jimi Hendrix as, the style and the guitar being a natural extension of his body. And I love bragging that I saw him perform live, and it was just fucking awesome. It was amazing. It's not so unique down here, because I'm in Texas, and you can be out and, you can nose around and you'll find somebody that saw Stevie Ray Vaughan. But, coming from Buffalo, and that's where I saw him up in New York, it was a pretty, I saw a white buffalo when I saw him. So I could really brag about it and get some looks.
And I know that you're a fan of this guy, and he was just kind of hitting his stride. It's a underground. It's nobody really knows in the mainstream who this guy is. Tommy Bolin. He was pretty young when he died, and he's a hell of a guitar player. He was doing all this cool fusion shit, and he would have been another one who would have been working with a lot of people as years went by. But
2 solo CDs, 2 solo albums. He did some time in Deep Purple. So, I mean, he's got some mainstream rock cred. He had a couple. Well, he had one. Teaser was kind of a sub hit for him. But the 2 albums, the first one, if you wanted to do yourself a favor, Tommy Bolin, Teaser, the first album, it's a masterpiece. Every single song is phenomenal. I mean, every single song is great. It's got a little dated sound to it, but it's got a little jazz fusion in there. But there's rock songs, and he was a singer and an amazing guitar player. And if you're a musician and you don't know who Tommy Bolin is, you got to get your shit together, because when you listen to that album, there's all kinds of cool shit happening. And I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm not a musician, but I can hear there's a lot going on in there, man. Oh, and he had like great musicians. So I mean, like, you know, he had access. He was on that level where if he wanted somebody, if he wanted Billy Cobham, who was, you know, Mahavishnu Orchestra, this wicked drummer, or Prairie Prince, I think, is on the album. He could just call and boom, they would say, oh, of course I'll come down and be on that track. So, I mean, he was definitely around the musicians. He was a cat, you know? Yeah, there's so many. I mean, this was a great exercise. Depressing as shit, by the way. Thanks for that. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to quit this podcast. No more depressing shit. You're not quitting. Nobody's quitting. This got me so bummed out. I had to go take a walk this afternoon. I was so bummed out. I'm like, God, that sucks. And then I started thinking about death and destruction. I'm like, oh God, get me out of here. Let's talk about something cool, will you? Post one more picture of me getting hit in the dick with a lemon. I'm quitting. Okay. I'll talk to Jay. Enough with the lemon. I'll talk to Jay. Look, Rod, Mother's Day's coming up, and oh damn! Apparently, because you got your catalytic converter stolen. This is a likely story, by the way, dude. My dog ate it. This one really takes the cake. That's a nice one. You really came up with a good one. Kind of hurting on this one, man. No, the flowers will be there on time. Yeah, the flowers will be there on time. But how it works in my house, if the present or the card, if it even shows up the day after. Okay. So if it's not there on Saturday, my mom knows that it's not showing up on Sunday. So dummy, it'll be, you know, my dumb kid, it'll be in the mailbox on Monday. I just don't get credit for it. Like it doesn't count. You might as well not even send it. I don't get any credit for the card showing up the day after Mother's Day. I have in the past sent a $28 FedEx $3.99 Mother's Day card. I'm not above doing that. I have done it in the past, and I may actually have to take that route this time again. So, Rod, you sent me this thing a couple of weeks ago, and it's about cool moms. And there's this trend about like trying to be a cool mom, and moms trying to be cool moms. And I want to be real careful here because, you know, I got a mom, I got a wife. So I got to tippy toe around this one a little bit. I think this one, but you got a mother-in-law. I mean, there's moms around, man. They're always, they seem to be listening all the time, but I remember growing up, and I'm sure my mom's listening, and she's just sitting there waiting with bated breath. I can feel it. I'm going to get a phone call as soon as she listens to this sucker. My mom wasn't cool. She wasn't cool mom material. She was an awesome mom. Mm-hmm. She was strict, like very, very strict. But she mellowed out later though. Cool. Yeah. She mellowed. I think, yeah, a lot. Holy shit, a lot. But grandkids will mellow you out, I think. Well, I think once your kid flies away from the nest and you realize, okay, well, they seem to got their shit together, sort of, you can kind of relax just a little bit. You know, you never relax when you're a parent. Obviously, your kid is always going to be your kid. So I want to talk about cool moms, Rod. Growing up, and moms today, I feel like they have a lot more tools in their tool belt. You know, you've got more, there's daycares available. The schooling is available. But there's almost a pressure to be that super mom, you know. Oh, I'm going to soccer practice. Oh, I'm picking them up from school. Oh, I'm baking brownies. Did you go to daycare? No, dude. My daycare was my backyard. Okay. Did you have a nanny? What?
What's a nanny, dude? I had no
Mhm.
nanny. No, I had none of that shit.
No, it just
None
didn't
of that.
exist, right? It
It's-
didn't exist. Your mom did it.
1970s. Your mom did everything in between working 2 or 3 jobs at the same time.
Yes.
See, that's the thing.
So they didn't have time to be cool. I mean, they didn't have time to be cool. When did your mom have a chance to be cool for a second?
They were putting out fires all the time, right? It was me and my brother. Okay, we had 2 kids in my household, and we're only 3 years apart. So, man, I tell you what, when my brother,
But
came
you're
out,
both jagoffs,
Yeah,
so I'm sure
think
it
about-
wasn't easy for her.
think about me and my brother, completely opposite cats and totally different in a lot of different ways. But your mom, okay, my mom worked the overnight shift in a factory up near Buffalo, New York. And then she would work on the weekends at a department store. And then she'd babysit on the side. There was no time back then for the working class, or you might want to say the working poor, I guess, to have time to be cool. It was only thing that mattered was the kids got to eat. And maybe every other year you take a little camping trip or some mini vacation that you jumped in the back of a station wagon to go to. That was being a cool mom back then.
But and again, your mom didn't give a shit about being cool.
No.
Okay.
No.
My mom didn't think twice. Boy, I wonder if, Rodney is going to be mad if I tell him, because I want him to like me, but I don't. I'm struggling if I should tell him no. My mom didn't struggle to tell me no. She just told me no. My mom didn't give a fuck, a flying flip about being cool, nor did yours. It wasn't thought of. I second guess everything. I'm like, man, I want my kid to like me. I do. I want my kid to like me. I don't want to be as hard on my kid as my parents were, but you make your jokes. I feel like I turned out okay. I'm not even going to leave you room to say anything. Mm-hmm. So I struggle with this. I'm sure you do the same. It just wasn't in, because I know that your mom and my mom, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. They didn't care about being cool. It just wasn't. You're not talking to me? Oh, well, they didn't care.
They were going to the next thing to try and keep the family alive, keep the mortgage going. My dad's working in a landfill. My mom's working in a factory. You think they gave a shit about being cool? Cool wasn't in our vocabulary, man.
But did you have a guy, maybe even when it got to more like high school, where it's like, oh no, cool mom, buy some beer. And there was the kid that smoked weed with his mom in high school. And everybody's like, yeah, his mom parties with us. I'm like, it's not, I didn't think that was cool back then. I really didn't. I recognized it just being a dope at 15 and 16. It wasn't cool. I realized my mom not being cool was kind of cool. I had that realization early. Maybe it didn't hit you until later in life, and it served you well how she did it, whether you appreciated it or not. I never thought that the mom that was kind of buying beers and hanging out and kind of drinking with kids, and maybe she was a younger mom. My mom was a little bit older too, I never thought that was cool. I thought that was weird, man. Parents. I was hang out and drink with their parents, man. 18 years old. I mean, 17, 16. I remember parents, the cool party mom. It's not cool. It wasn't cool, man.
It's not cool. I had a guy tell me this years ago, and he said, look, when you have a kid, you're pissed off because your kid's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old and they're giving you shit. And it's not easy being a parent. Look, let's never forget that. It's never easy. The guy goes, you're not raising a 4-year-old or a 10-year-old or a 13-year-old. You're raising an 18-year-old to not be an asshole when they leave the house. That's what you're doing. When the time your kid is born until they leave your house to go to college or whatever they're going to do, that's training camp. If you want to make a sports analogy, that's training camp. Okay. The game starts when that kid leaves and they go to college. You got 18 years basically to make sure you don't fuck that kid up, so that when they go out into the wild, into the real world, they're going to have a clue, a little bit of a clue, and hopefully do something with their opportunity.
Does your mom critique? Has she said anything about your parenting style? I mean, I'm kind of new to this. I'm only 3 years in. I my mom is worried about my kid being spoiled. I have more at this point in my life. London, my daughter, has more opportunities at this point in her life than I had at that point. We didn't have any money, and I got a couple of bucks now. And, I can buy my kid a few things. I've made jokes forever. Shut up. You know why? Anything I asked for, shut up. You know why? You just didn't get anything outside of your birthday and Christmas. You just didn't. My mom she's been very hands off. She is I can tell she's a little worried because my mom probably thinks I was spoiled because my mom had like less than what I had. So it just never stops. It goes back and back and back. My mom really didn't have anything. My mom really had a rough upbringing. So she couldn't help but that's all she knew was to be a little bit rough. I'm talking about coarse around the edges. So I think she's made a few comments here and there where she's kind of thinking, no, you let her stand there. If she's crying, she's not getting her way. She's not getting her way. And, my mom never caved in once. I could sit there and have a temper tantrum or whatever. My mom was not breaking. I'm not going to lie to you. I break sometimes. I do. I break. I'm like, all right. It's brutal.
It's hard because
parenting's tough, man.
There's no right way or wrong way to really do it. You got, my mom doesn't really get involved as far as saying, well, you should do this, you should do that.
My mom can't help herself. She can't not say something.
My mom leans in. She'll lean in a little bit here and there, but
right.
No, she her big advice, and she doesn't come out and say it, but she says it indirectly, is have you talked to your daughter? Have you talked to your son? Are you hanging out? Are you spending time together? Is a message. Yeah. Spending time is the most important thing because she's, they've been retired. I haven't been living with them in a million years. And anytime I talk, there's a conversation that kind of leans back to, well, it'd be cool if you come and saw us, because they don't live in the same city or same state. So you get that guilt a little bit about, hey, you should come visit or we should come visit you. And with COVID, obviously it was a disaster. It sucks. So her big thing is time. Spend time. Time is the most important thing. But man, dude, when I was growing up, my friends were all allowed to do cool shit. Right? We had a 7-Eleven down the street. It was about half a mile away. All my buddies, guys that were a couple years older on my street, guys that were a year younger than me on the street, could all ride their bikes down to 7-Eleven, buy a bunch of candy, and then ride their bikes back. And I lived out in the country, basically, man. I mean, there were no highways. It was just roads.
But did you have to get off of your street to get to the 7-Eleven?
Oh, yeah. You had to
that was the killer for me. There was no leaving the street. There was no leaving the street.
But I was like, it took forever for me to get caught up. So everything that everyone in the neighborhood was doing, I was later. I had to fight and fight and fight. So my mom got a reputation of being like super strict and a pain in the ass. And I was like, after a while, my buddies were like, well, fuck it, man. We don't get you can't go. So what the hell's the point of knocking on his door? And it was embarrassing because like you'd be riding bikes all day with your buddies and hanging out and playing football and all that shit. And then they'd be like, hey, let's go to 7-Eleven to get some sodas, get some.
Then you're like, like, please don't bring up 7-Eleven.
See you later. And then then you come back around and then you're the asshole. You're the goofy kid who's not allowed to do anything. And you know what? It worked out for me because I valued it. It taught me value. It did. It taught me to value, like, hey, when I finally got out, holy shit, it was great. I was like,
but don't tell me you never went to 7-Eleven and didn't tell her.
You know what? I was pretty good. I'm sure there was a couple times I would sneak out and come back, but I was pretty loyal because I knew I'd get fucking grounded, which grounded to me meant nothing because I wasn't allowed to go anywhere anyway. I used to laugh. My mom, you're grounded for a week. I'm like, okay, I'm not going anywhere anyway.
So I kind of had strict like that. You couldn't do anything, couldn't leave the street. And there was I'll tell you something. I forgot all about this. So there's train tracks near our house. All right. So you're growing up. It's just always the foundation was laid from when you were a kid. Don't go to the train tracks. Don't go to the train tracks. It just was one of those things. It was the forbidden area. Well, you're a kid, right? You want to do what you can't do. Okay. So same deal. I'm hanging out with older kids. It's always older kids because like they're doing stuff and you want to fit in. You don't want to, because you're so excited that you're hanging out with older kids. Like, holy shit. They don't even they're treating me like one of them. They're a whole year older than me. This is awesome. So you're hanging out and then they start doing those types of things. And you're like, oh man, let's do this. All right. Okay. Maybe just this once. So again, no train tracks. And it wasn't, it was in the fields. We play in the fields, we'd be out all day. It was a different time.
Yeah.
But no train tracks.
Hitting each other with sticks.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Whipping rocks at each other, the whole thing.
Those were my toys, sticks.
So my mom is straightening up my room or something like that. And she sees like in a cup, she sees all of these coins. Jason, what did I do with all of those coins?
Oh shit. Oh,
there's only one thing that could have happened to those coins. And I'm thinking if there's even one person listening right now,
they know exactly what you did with them.
Train tracks, coins, you take pennies. And when the train's coming, you load up the track with coins and then they run them over and then you have these smushed coins and you would get them right after. You'd wait because then they would kind of bounce around a little bit, but they'd be hot still. Oh, yeah. And it was cool. You'd have this like smushed quarter and nickels. I mean, I've got, 5 or 6 of these things and I've got them in a cup. So I get home. I forgot about this, dude. I get home and I get home and they're right there on the kitchen table.
Oh, that's the worst when they do that. When their moms do
laid
that.
It out.
They
laid it out. Laid it out.
Worst.
And now that I'm telling this story, this is exactly how when they found the Playboy magazine, they did this exact same thing. I get home and they're sitting there and they got the mag. The mag. It wasn't even Playboy. It was OUI. Where did I get it? Where did I get it?
French friends?
I don't know. It was We. I had We magazine. I got busted with it. So I get home and there's the coins. And then you start lying, oh yeah. Well, Dennis Krieger gave those to me. Dennis.
Jimmy.
Yeah. Dennis is such a cool guy. And then Jeff Hokut got a couple of those. He did it. They just gave them to me. And, I'm sitting there lying to her face. She knows I'm lying to her face. And then boom, I proceed to get my ass whooped. Okay. I got my ass whooped. It's just the way that it was. I don't hit my kid, but I got beat. Okay. That was the thing. You start doing those things. My mom had all these restrictions. She's not dumb. She knows I'm probably doing some of these things behind her back. But if she didn't give me a list of this not to do, can you imagine what I would have done if I had no lists of things that I couldn't do? But yeah, I was in a similar situation. There was just no leaving the street. There was no getting off the street. You could ride your bike, your skateboard, boom. We had this cool dead end street. We constantly played in it. Hockey, we played wiffle ball, football, everything. You just couldn't leave the street, and well, I left the street, we did that on our bikes. It was just the best. But my mom wasn't cool. I mean, I know you brought this up. My mom wasn't cool. And you look back and you're like, okay, she didn't give a shit about being cool. And I struggle with that now. I'm like, man, I want my kid to like me. Man, your kid is going to love you. I love the shit out of my mom. I'm so glad that she's around still. She was so tough. She worked all the jobs. She's home during the day. She's 3 kids. And then as soon as we went to school, boom, she had a gig. And then boom, she's working at a bakery. She's cleaning office buildings at night. She's working in a factory, doing all of this. Single mom. Didn't let us do shit. And I love my mom like more than anything. As tough as she was, you don't have to be a cool mom. I think you and I interviewed Dr. Drew years ago, and I think neither one of us had a kid. Maybe you were a new father. And Dr. Drew said it 20 years ago. He's like, man, these parents these days, they're so concerned with being their kids' friends and not so much parenting. And, he brought it to my attention, him saying that, your parents weren't worried about you being pals. That was never on your parents' agenda that, I'm going to try to really, nurture my kid, thinking of me as a friend. My mom never thought like that. My mom wasn't friends with her parents. It just wasn't like that. They weren't friends, so my mom was a parent and that's what she did. It wasn't cool, but ex facto, it was cool. Not being cool.
I know when I was a teenager, man, I was a dick and I was, just trying to figure my shit out like any teenager dude was. And my mom and I, man, we did not get along at all. It was brutal. I mean, I remember one time I did something stupid and we just couldn't even look at each other, man. It was just kind of awful. It was ugly. It wasn't, I was a teenager. I was a dick. And I remember her whipping a bunch of Tupperwares at me one time and I knew it was time to go. So I moved out when I was 18, got a roommate and didn't talk to my mom for a couple months. And then I invited her over to see my place and we sat down and talked and had a blast. And from that day on, because we're not together 24/7 under each other's skin.
Yeah.
We get along great, but I couldn't live it. I got to a point where I had my own set of ideals and ideas and she had hers and all that just came to a big, there's a dividing line. And the second I moved out, man, you could breathe again, or I could breathe again. It was totally cool. And I know what there's times if I visit her and I stay at her place for a couple of days, I start getting that feeling again. My shoulders get tight. I start freaking out. We cannot hang out for a long periods of time together.
I'm 51 years old. Okay. I go home. I've never advanced past 14 in my house. As soon as you're in that house. Okay. If I go home like for Christmas, and, I'm in one of the other rooms and I'm doing something, whatever, and I hear it. And it's just, I'm taken back to 1978. Who touched the thermostat? Like, I'm sorry, Mom, I'm freezing. I live in the South. I'm freezing. My toes are going to fucking fall off. I touched the thermostat. I touched it. I'll pay. I'll write you a check. It's like that. I'm 14 years old. When my mom hears that heat kick on, got forced air in the house. Who messed with the thermostat? You were not allowed to touch that when you lived in that house. You were not allowed to touch it. You were not an equal. And I've never been an equal. I have never once been an equal. It doesn't matter. And it goes hand in hand with my mother getting old now and us having to take care of her. My sister really got left holding the football and does so much. And I love her for it. But we talked to my mom and we're not equals yet. She will flat out in as many words. And you know how my mom talks. I'm the parent. I'm trying to tell my mom something. She'll flat out say, I'm the parent here. Do not talk to me. And I'm trying to help my mom who needs help and won't admit it. I'm the parent. I do this.
And I think that's what got me in trouble for a lot of years in the business world is because my mom would just say no. And I would ask her why. I wanted to know a reason why I was getting a no. And she said, because I'm your mom. And that's the only answer you're getting. And it used to drive me nuts. So when I got into the workforce later on, someone would tell me no. And I would say, hey, how come? And a lot of bosses, they like to lead like a parent. No, because I said so. And when I hear because I said so, I can't tell you the amount of the temperature of my body goes from like whatever it is, 96.8 to about 1,000 degrees in an instant. And I get so fucking hot, man, and pissed off. I don't want to hear because I said so from a boss. Okay. I'm here to learn. I want to do the right thing. Why did you say no? And I think you and I were probably in meetings with program directors over the years, sitting at the same stupid conference table. How come? Because I said so. Because I said so is a dick answer. If you're a boss and that's what your answer is, you're a dick.
But you can do it to your kids. I mean,
you get away with it. But I remember my mom saying things like that because I said so, because I'm the mom. And she has that right. And that's totally cool. But because I heard it all the time, apparently, when I got into the real world, I can't ever hear that. You want to piss me off in a meeting, dude? Say because I said so. I will fucking lose my shit. And I'm a pretty mellow dude. But man, that kind of stuff. But it's funny how those little things when you're growing up stick with you. Poor London running around. She's as blue as a popsicle, freezing her ass off, and you want to turn the temperature up to 70. You're spoiling that kid, Rod. You're spoiling that kid by giving her some heat. What are you thinking? Your mom's right. You're spoiling the poor kid.
Mother's Day on Sunday. You know what? If you're lucky enough to still have your mom, I didn't grow up in a world where we ran around and said, I love you. We didn't. That didn't come until later. And we really openly say it now. And it's weird to talk about, but, I like in high school, all through high school, I didn't tell my mom that I loved her. We didn't say that. We didn't talk like that in our house. And then I don't know what happened. And I think it was probably my dad passing away. So now you're talking, I'm getting into be a 30-year-old. And I can't honestly tell you the last time I said, I love you to my mom. We just don't do that. And now I can't even imagine being on the phone with her and not say, Mom, I love you. Okay. I'll talk to you later on in the week or whatever. But if you're lucky enough to have your moms, and dads too, dads are great. But if you're lucky enough to have your mom, give them their day. It's their day on Sunday, and, honor them. And, I'm sure that if you're still listening, you were no picnic either, raising, just to be responsible for this person. And it's just the most amazing thing ever. But it's the most difficult job in the world, and moms, I'll say this about moms too, so we can wrap it up. Moms, here's where they get taken for granted, because I think I'm a pretty good dad. I give myself a pretty good grade. I'm with her all the time. I'm very active with her. I'm out with her all the time. I'm out with her. Now, April's dealing with hip issues. So I'm kind of the guy that if you're going to be in the neighborhood, you're going to see me on the scooter with my kid. You're going to see me riding the bikes and doing all of that stuff. Okay. April will be back out there soon. But even like pushing my kid in the stroller and going on an ice cream date. We have a little ice cream shop that we can walk to. Oh, you're such a good dad. It's so easy for me to get that kind of reaction. All I'm doing is spending time with my kid. But, oh, you're such a good dad. A mom's walking with her kid. She doesn't get that. Mm-mm. She doesn't. We get it easier. It's easier for us to look like and I don't know if, dads aren't as involved, but it's not warranted. As much as I am told, oh, dude, you're such a good dad. I see you doing this. Yeah, but my wife does double what I do. And I guess she's just being a mom. No way. But I don't know if you've ever keyed up on that, because it's nice to hear, and I would like to think that I'm a good dad, but it comes too easy. It comes too easy. People calling me out and saying for doing what moms, my wife may have spent all day with my kid, and I take her for 30 minutes for a walk to the ice cream store, and I'm the good dad. What a good dad.
Yeah. You're
you
awesome.
Don't even know what kind of animal. My kid's a terrorist. For 9 hours, my wife was peeling her off the chandelier. That's a good mom, but people didn't see it.
Right. And plus, dudes,
it wasn't on Facebook.
Dudes aren't smart. The dude is always like, well, I did my job, I'm out of here. Right. I mean,
yeah,
dads don't have to do it as hard. But I know when I used to take my daughter, who's much older, in the stroller, man, and I'd have you got a young daughter, you got the pink diaper bag and you got the stroller and the flowers, and it's everything that you're personally as a dude, you don't want to touch that shit. But once you got that kid and you go and you walk that kid for 2 blocks and you see 5 people, all 5 of them are the same thing. Wow, you're such a great dad. Dude, I walked the block with my kid. How does that make me a good dad? I'm just pushing my kid in a stroller. You know what? I got a beer in my cooler right here that I'm drinking while I'm pushing. So am I still a good dad? The moms don't get the credits, and they should.
They don't. I mean, and that was just something that I think it needs to come from, a dad to say, okay, I appreciate that, but man, moms are they're the best. They're just the best. And it's great. And they should get more than a day, and you should honor them all the time. But Sunday is something really, really special for sure.
Unless your catalytic converter got stolen or whatever. And, you might going to get a card. So, that's nice.
Ask me my final thoughts.
You can't say you're going to quit. Okay. First of all, what's your final thought, Rod?
So
thieves, fuck them.
I'm glad you asked.
Oh no. Is that the card?
So I did go to the store today and I got a Mother's Day card. Okay. Now, it's nice. It's a ribbon.
It is nice.
Nice, right? Nice card. I won't bore you with it. I go to the self-checkout. Walmart. Beep. Okay. It comes back. $7.55. Get the fuck out of here with your $7.55 for a card. When did that happen, dude? This is not some crazy extra postage. It's not it doesn't snow globy. It's dude.
Songs?
There's no song, no tunes, no nothing. What? I thought it was a mistake. It said $7.55, and I'm like, okay, I double clutched. I must have. So I'm getting ready to call the dude. I'm like, okay, Old Man River doesn't know how to do this over here. Before I call over, hit the button, get somebody over here, I look on the back. $6.99.
Holy shit.
$6.99.
For a card?
I get it. My mom paid a nickel to go to the movies when she was a kid. I get it. The cinema. She went to the picture show. When was it? $6.99, dude. You see this. It's a nice card, but it's not anything special. There's no anything. There's no butterflies flying out of it. It's a card. That was the price of this card. That's my final thought. What the fuck?
Dude, you could have taken out, that's the price of an app. You could have got an app. You could have got apps.
I thought I went boop, boop. I'm like, oh, I double clutched easily. $7.55.
Between the greeting card and the catalytic converter, bro, you got to be out of money. You need to get a side gig.
Do I sound super cheap right now? $7.55?
I don't. You know what? You
Get
actually
off my lawn.
But you know what? Only reason you notice is because you bought just the solo card. Had that been just going,
Yeah.
bleep, 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 you'd have never even given a thought.
100%. Got in, got the card. Boom. That's it. Jason, final thoughts.
Final thought, Rod. I've started something new. I've been, as COVID went by, I realized I was drinking and eating too much in the early days about a year ago. So I started running, and I've been running like a fool. So I run.
You're running like a maniac right now, dude.
35, approaching 40 miles per week. I got a 14-mile run planned tomorrow. We're recording on Wednesday. Thursday morning, I'll get up and run 14 miles. So I wanted to do a little cross training now, okay? Because I say that just running is not enough. You can only get so good when you run. You got to cross train, build up the core muscles. And you know about this, right? So I did some research, and I like to swim. I'm not joining a gym for a pool. I'm not going to a gym with, people aren't wearing their masks still and all that good stuff. I want to.
You still got that little Scooby-Doo one in the backyard?
So I bought a Kid Rock Walmart's rectangle pool last year. So you can't swim laps in this thing, right?
Yeah.
We did a bunch of research, and there's this thing that is called tethered swimming. It was like $12 on Amazon. So basically, it's like a belt that goes around your waist.
I've tried this.
Tie it to a fucking tree, basically. Okay. And it holds you in place, and you swim. You don't go anywhere. So you don't need a big pool. And I'm like, for $12, I'm willing to give this thing a rip. So I literally got this thing hooked up to a tree a couple weeks ago. Dude, I'm bending the tree. I'm swimming like a mofo, and I'm not even.
It works. Totally I've done this before. I think now it kills me. It's so hard because it's harder to breathe and everything because you're just making waves. You're not moving. You don't have that wake as you swim. So what I got to do is get a snorkel. But it's such a great workout, dude. Tethered swimming is the shit. I'm just saying, we need to get like Play Pants logo on it, and I can sell them so we can make some money. So you can buy Mother's Day cards because they're so expensive. And it's just a leash. It's just a leash.
That's it.
What is it attached to?
I literally, it's just like it's like a bungee cord. So it's got a little bit of play in it. It's not just a rope and a belt. It's
what do you Velcro it around your dick? What holds it?
Yeah. Dude, I couldn't get like one of those little things around.
Dude, just backstroking away, and your D's the D's the thing that's holding your back.
You know how you get older and your balls hang lower and lower and lower? I'm stretching mine. You know what I mean? I could put like a belt around it. Oh my God.
Don't stretch your gut.
He goes, it's like a clip around your waist. It's it. Dude, swimming. It's my thing. So we'll see how the progress goes over the next couple of weeks. Yeah. I'm insane. It's according to my wife. My wife looked at me and she goes, COVID hasn't been good to you, has it? this locked. I go, wait a minute. That's not fair because I quit drinking. I quit eating meat. I don't even eat dairy, and I run like the wind. And now I'm swimming. How has it been bad for me. It's been great for me.
I don't want to sound like I'm shitting on you because everybody's like always brings up negative things. Do you? It's great. Let me start out by saying it's great. I really do. I do. And I mean it. When I say it, I mean it. You're like, okay, well, where's the but? Not really a but. Is this, can you see yourself doing this for the rest of your life? I guess the eating and the drinking thing. Running, listen, your knees, things are going to give. Sure. So, I hope they don't. Do you see yourself like never eating a burger ever again? Are you to the point now where it's disgusting? Is a steak, when you look at a steak, is it gross?
No.
I know you're not doing it for animal reasons, okay? I know there's people out there that, don't want to harm an animal. I imagine a steak would probably tear your ass up right now, but is it appealing to you? A burger?
Totally. Yeah, no, I could rip through a burger. I mean, my kid eats
chicken,
meat, all of it. Oh, fish. Yeah. Shit. I would eat a burger tomorrow. I do it just because I know I've done so much fucking research that I know what it does to me. I know what it does to you. I know what it does to everybody. And it's junking up your goods. It's why you get heart disease. It's why you have achy joints. It's all these things. And I'm not going to go into it, but
do you think this is going to be you from now moving forward?
I don't know if I'll be full on, like never eat a cheeseburger again guy. Cause I probably will at some point, but I know I will always be a much healthier eater going forward. Do
you want a beer?
You know what? Sometimes, yeah. There's times when people are hanging out drinking. And by the way, being the sober guy and amongst drunks is the fucking worst. I don't.
It's awful. I can't. People are so dumb when they're drunk. They repeat themselves. They swear. They don't need to swear.
But what's fucked up, dude? And look, I don't want to get off on this whole thing with vegans and shit because that's another topic for another day. But I know now why people who are vegans talk about being a vegan all the time. Because
please tell me.
I'll tell you why. It's because everyone else gives them so much shit for doing it. Like I am eating healthier than I ever have in my entire life. I don't drink. I'm like crystal clear. I went to the doctor and they're like, holy shit, your blood is sweet. It's perfect, right? My family's like, well, you should eat some meat. You're too skinny. You got to eat some meat. And then my friends are all like, you suck hanging out now because you never drank. I'm like, yeah, that's the point. So
pick me up at 2.
You get all this shit. Yeah, right. I'm the designated driver now. They're like, you're boring. You don't want to talk about anything anymore. I'm like, yeah, I'm just healthy. But so I get why people who are like hardcore vegans are just banging the drum all the time because everyone else is banging it against them.
Yeah,
I get it. I don't give a shit. You want to eat it? I will cook my dumb shit in the same pan. There's people that won't do that with your steak. I don't give a shit. I mean, if I'll eat some chips. I know that's fried in fat of some animal. I don't care, but I don't do it all the time. So anyway, yeah, probably.
When was the last time you had a beer or wine?
Halloween night. I'm 6 months.
It.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I remember you were in town in like mid-November and I was trying to do this 5K a day thing through November. And you're like, dude, cruise over. We'll have some beers. I'm like, yeah, about that.
Yeah. He hadn't told me yet.
Pounded beers and I was pounded waters and it's like, it was still cool. I mean, it was great. We hung out. It was fine, but it was just, it's
like, you're like, he's like lapping my place. He's like he's coming out, like he's about to tell me he's gay. He's like, dude, I'm not drinking anymore, man.
And you're like, what? That's all you said. You're like, what? Why? And I go, because health reasons. I just want to get healthier. And you're like, okay, cool, whatever. And you moved on about your day.
I really am. I am cool with it. And I know that I did that thing where it's like, okay, I'm going to do all this or this, but it's fascinating to me because I don't sit around and I think you and I are kind of the same. I don't drink beers at the house. I don't sit around and have a beer. I don't. It's just not how I do it. Now, do I love getting together with friends? My neighbors. Okay, that there's a little bit of a beer thing going on with the neighbors. Hey man, hey mate, you want a beer? The guy from Australia next door. There's a little bit of that going on, but I've never ever sat on the couch and cracked a beer and just drank a couple. I'm not interested in it. It's such a social thing for me. I don't miss it at all if there's not a social situation. What would be hard would be being out. and it's not a craving thing. It's not a cigarette thing. I'm not fiending for it. I just really I want to be around everybody and do the same thing that they're doing.
I was getting to the point during the early days of the lockdown where I'd sit on the couch, and I'm the same way. I don't drink beers during the week, but on the weekends, man, I'll tear it up. I will rip through a case of beer by myself over the weekend.
I've never done that.
And, I found myself on Wednesday nights sitting down watching a movie, and I'd go through a 12 pack. I'm like, holy shit, this isn't good. And then it was like, I'd buy a case on a Wednesday for the weekend. Well, I'd have that drank by Thursday. I had to go buy another case. And I'm like, you know what? There might be a little bit of an issue here. and so I'm like, if this is going to be locked down, and I could kind of see the future that this was going to be locked down for a lot of months. I'm like, I got to make a switch. I got to stop. So I made the switch, and I've been doing it ever since, basically.
I'm proud of you, Jason.
Oh, that's sweet. I'm great.
Proud of you. I am not joining you on this journey, but I'm going to respectfully, from the sideline over here, probably in the section where they are serving alcohol, I'm going to cheer you on, and I'm going to say, you go and do you. You do it.
But that's cool. I don't care. I don't care. I don't do it for praise. I don't do it for applause. Hey, speaking about the drinking section, I checked my mail, my email just before we started this, and I checked my physical mail today, and the mailman had shown up, and I didn't see my BuzzFest tickets. What's up?
Oh, you didn't see those, did you?
I didn't see no BuzzFest. That's a great lineup, dude. The Offspring, Chevelle. What the heck? That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't.
And those, they bring it live. Those bands really, they bring it live. Are you down with Aaron? Are you down with Aaron Jones?
Couldn't tell you who it is, man. I saw that. And I'm like, I don't know who that is. No. I got to go look it up. I got to go figure out who this person is.
Okay. That's your homework. And then when we open up the podcast next week, you're like, holy shit, Aaron. You know what? Gene Simmons, stick your head up your ass the next time you say rock is dead. This kid is that good, dude. Oh. He is awesome. He's phenomenal. I promise you. I promise you. Okay. I know you. I know you're going to love this kid. Oh, he's so talented, man. He writes good songs. He's had a rough upbringing. I do think that there needs to be, like going back to Black Sabbath, coming from the hardship of the steel mill, there's got to be some kind of Nirvana, Seattle hardship. Mm-hmm. You're the outcast. You're just boom. And then you're making this great art. You're making this great music. This kid, of course, everybody wants lollipops in the ice cream truck every day. This kid didn't have that. And he's got a crazy story. And from that, risen from the ashes, I'm telling you, I'm not overselling it. This kid is going to be a fucking superstar.
Really? Okay. Well,
yes.
I will check him out. Now, I haven't, we're coworkers again, dude. Like, I don't see how I can't get tickets for the BuzzFest thing.
We'll talk.
Cool. I mean, we'll
talk, dude.
We're coworkers now, dude.
Keep checking.
We're coworkers.
Keep checking that. Keep checking that mailbox. All right, bro.
Let's go. It's time. Put on pants.
Find us wherever you listen to podcasts. See us on our YouTube channel and follow our social media pages at PlayPantsPod.